applications with image or video galleries are in common demand, especially in content for exhibition spaces, such as museums, which often install them on tablets. In this video, we will explore the creation of a simple photo gallery of our mascot, Boo-C. Let's start by creating a movie. Since we don't know whether the tablet will be set up horizontally or vertically, we'll develop our creation to support both formats. Now, let's create our first scene, naming it Slideshow. Let's start by sending the picture files used in this example. You can send them one by one or several at once, compressed within a zip file. The pictures used in this tutorial are available for download in the description of this video. Go to the Interface Picture folder and select home.png. We'll add this picture to the stage. Select the instance with the home image and open the right tab Current Instance. Here, we will rename the instance to Home. Next, click the Edit Collection button. We will rename this media collection to Buttons. Now that we've created the media collection, let's add the remaining interface elements. Access the Picture Manager again and go to the Interface folder. Notice that right below the file list, we have the multiple selection option. Let's check it and select the remaining interface images. Hold down the Control key to select multiple files, Command on Mac OS. Check all the remaining images. Confirm that the selected collection is Buttons, and click Add to Collection and Stage. Notice that all the interface graphics have been added to the scene. Let's give each instance a name to simplify editing. To position these images, open the Placement tab on the right. For all of them, we will use the original size, positioning the images in the corners of the screen. Now, let's create a media collection with all the photos from our slideshow. The process will be the same as we used for the interface. First, we add the first photo, create and rename the collection, and then add the remaining pictures. The difference is that this time we won't add all the images to the stage. We'll only add them to the media collection. Regarding positioning, let's open the Placement tab on the right and enlarge our photo to a height of 900, adjusting the width proportionally and positioning it centered horizontally and vertically. Remember that we want our creation to be displayable on tablets in both landscape and portrait orientations. To do this, we need to also set the layout for portrait mode. Click the first button on the bottom bar to switch between aspect ratios. We will now resize and position the instances on the screen for vertical orientation. During display, Boo-C will automatically identify the screen aspect ratio and display the corresponding version. Now that we have our layout set for both screen ratios, let's prepare the interaction. To begin, access the Movie Properties window and go to the Action Snippets tab. Here, we can create groups of actions that are reused at various points in our production. As we will see shortly, we will place the navigation actions in more than one place, making it more logical to create them here and use them as many times as necessary. The first group of actions we'll create will be for image enlargement. Add an action from the instance manipulation group, increase instance zoom. This action needs two parameters. First, we'll select the instance to change, photos in our case, and indicate a percentage of enlargement, which we'll set to 30. Returning to the Properties window, we'll name this snippet group Zoom In and add it to our movie. Let's do the same for the Zoom Out actions, which should reduce the zoom of our Photos instance by 30%. Now, let's create the action group to advance an image in the slideshow. Let's start by adding an action to remove any resize changes applied. In Instance Manipulation, choose the action Return Instance to Original Size and Position. Specify the instance photos and create the action. Next, add a second action to the group. Still in Instance Manipulation, look for Load Next Collection Element. Specify the instance photos and add the action. Note that our action snippets can contain as many actions as needed. Name this group Next and add it to the movie. Finally, let's create the actions to go back an image in the slideshow. The process is similar to that of the next group, using the Load Previous Collection Element action. Name this group Previous. When you finish creating the action snippets, remember to save the changes you made by clicking the Save Action Snippets button. When exiting the Movie Properties window, also remember to publish the scene to save all the changes made to it. A good practice is to regularly save your work in the scene. Now that we have our action groups, let's assign them to the buttons. Click on the next instance, and in the Right Actions tab, click on Trigger Actions. Add an action, and in the System Actions group, select Run a Movie Action Snippet. Specify the name of the action group to execute, Next in our case, and create the action. Let's do the same for the other three groups of actions we created, associating each one with the corresponding instance. It's time to test our movie. First, let's save our work. Then, click the last button on the bottom bar to start the test. Notice that clicking the buttons advances and rewinds the slideshow images, as well as changes the zoom level, but this is happening very slowly. To adjust this speed, let's access the Movie Properties window again and open the Animation and Interaction tab. Notice that the animation time is set to 1 second between keyframes, the default setting. Let's change it to 0.25 seconds for a faster response. Click the Save Animation and Interaction Settings button, then exit the Properties window and let's test our content again. Notice that the visual responses are now much faster. However, let's note two things. First, the transition time when changing photos in the slideshow hasn't changed. Second, when we zoom in too much on the image, it covers the buttons on our interface, hindering navigation. The transition between elements in a media collection in Tealbussy can be adjusted separately from the Movie Properties for greater versatility. Select the photo instance and, in the Right Current Instance tab, click on Edit Collection. You will see the transition properties just below the name. Let's change the time to 0.25 seconds and, in transition type, select from right, which will give us a more suitable transition for the slideshow. When finished, click on Apply Collection Changes. To resolve the issue of the image overlapping the interface, while keeping the instance selected, in the Right Placement tab, we will reduce its display order. Note that we will need to do this in both the vertical and horizontal screen ratios. Another thing to note is that even if it is necessary to change visual properties in both ratios, actions assigned to instances are shared between the two views. Let's test our production again. Notice that the photo transition speed has increased. Also, see the change in the image transition animation. When using the From Right format, Tealbussy automatically reverses the animation direction when we load the previous image. Furthermore, note that zooming in on the image no longer hides the navigation interface. To complete the actions of the last two buttons on our interface, let's add simple interactions to them. Tapping the refresh button should reposition the photo in the center of the screen at its original size. The home actions, in addition to repositioning, should reload the original image. To do this, from the Instance Manipulation group, add the action Load a Collection Asset into the instance. This action requires the instance to be modified as the first parameter. As the second, the Asset Identifier. To retrieve it, in the right-hand column, select the Photos collection, the Asset01.png, and click Get Asset ID. The identifier will appear at the end of the column, and you can use it in your action. We now have one last action to include in our graphic elements. We want the photo to move across the screen when dragged. To do this, we'll add an action directly to the photo instance. In the Instance Manipulation group, select Start Dragging Instance and specify the name of our photo instance. Let's save our scene now and do another test. You can see that we have all the features we wanted working. Tablets used in exhibitions are usually fixed, mounted inside kiosks or similar stands. In these cases, interaction via touch buttons on the screen is the most recommended, but some people may prefer to interact through gestures on the screen. To activate this in our production, access the movie properties again and go to the Input tab. Scroll down to the touchscreen actions. For Swipe From Right, indicate action snippet in the selection and name our action next to it. We will do the same for Swipe From Left with the action previous, for Pinch Open with the action Zoom In, and for Pinch Close with the action Zoom Out. Remember to click the Save Input Assignments button when finished. This concludes the content creation. Now, let's prepare our movie for the creation of the mobile app to be installed on the tablet. The first thing to do is go back to the movie properties and access the About tab. Here, we will check the title and also indicate a favicon that will be used as the app icon. Try to use PNG images with a size of 1024 by 1024 pixels. Also confirm the scene to be opened when the app is launched. In our case, the only one from our production. Click on Save Descriptions. Now, let's export the content to generate the app. In the left menu under Exchange, click on Mobile Android and iOS iPadOS app. In the window that opens, you'll see some settings. Look for display mode and change it to kiosk. Now, just click on Export Application to download a zip file containing the app project. The downloaded content includes the readme.html file with the necessary instructions to prepare your system for generating mobile apps. You can also find these instructions in the form of a video tutorial available on this channel. Inside the Gallery folder, we find the content of our app. Following the instructions, we will first run the setup script according to our operating system. This procedure can be done on Windows, Linux, and macOS computers. Wait for the preparation process. It may take a while. Now, run the Android script according to your operating system. After a few adjustments, it will open Android Studio. Wait until the project is prepared for app generation, confirming all actions suggested by Android Studio. To generate the app's installation APK file, access the Android Studio menu and under Build, look for Generate App Bundles or APKs and select Generate APKs. This process may take some time, and after it finishes, click the Locate link in the message that opens. You will see a folder with a file with the APK extension. Copy this file to your tablet and run it to install your creation. In this video, we saw how to create a simple photo slideshow installed on a tablet, a common request for exhibition spaces like museums. Check out the other videos on this channel for other types of content creation, as well as details on exporting content created in Tealbussy to other supports, such as desktop programs or websites.